Hi people, welcome to Blue UK Jazz Dance. Part of my legacy, I give people insight into what UK Jazz Dance did for me, freestyle dance in general. It taught me to care, it built my confidence, it taught me to have consideration for others and myself and working alongside individuals. It taught me to collaborative practice, how to work alongside other individuals, caring about their needs, having consideration for their needs and my needs, working with them. Yeah, and that consideration was one of the key things. When you collaborate, you go for a process where you influence, you persuade. Okay, you speak to individuals with an assertive manner, and you demand people to treat you with respect. One of the key things, it taught me to be candid. If you're involved in dance and you work collaborating with individuals, most importantly, what's important is that you as an individual understand you have to be candid about the way that you create with individuals. So part of the work was, it taught me creativity. It taught me to be innovative, and to be innovative you need to be creative. That's the first thing. So creativity is about problem solving, ideas. Do you understand? It taught me a whole host of things which is important. It taught me to be spontaneous. It taught me to be improvisational in many different ways in my life. And most important thing, what I want to share with the individuals, everything I've described, what the dance gave me was beyond the stage and on the stage. And what happens, people need to know the stage is a whole different ball game. Yeah, so it taught me about the creative culture industries under the seas. It taught me the creative culture industry is very different. So you have creative culture industries, you have the arts, you have creative culture industries, the commercial industries. The commercial industries is very, very more cutthroat, more superficial, and you have to be tough to survive that game. You have to know how to protect yourself. You have to know how to preserve what you have. You have to know how to deal with individuals who treat you in a negative way, because that industry is part of that. The arts is two different places, and what happens most importantly, the different types of arts involvement. You got youth arts, which is voluntary involvement, youth arts work, which is you working with a specialist, or you working as a specialist on a theme, key work. You got community arts, arts in community, arts and business, business and the arts. I could go on. You got the commercial industry of the arts, so it's important working with architects, working with dancers, working with musicians, working with visual artists, working with sculptures. Do you understand? Working with composers, choreographers, working with arts managers, administrators, coordinators. Have you got that? It's important for you to understand, for me to give you insight of what UK Jazz Dance brought me. And it's over a period of 43 years. People need to have that first understanding. I started dancing in 1975, but I started in the arts from a long time and within my home was when I first started. And one of the key things I identified to individuals, that the people who taught me my first steps was my father and my mother. They were the first people to start my steps in my early learning years. My parents taught me to be an artisan. This is my father. It's important for me to share this information with the individual. This is my father. He was an artist himself, so I try to share with individuals that I came from a background where I was self-taught. I was self-taught to develop my own ideas around art. My father wanted me to have a lot of play. He was born in 1935 in the Great Depression. And what was important for me to have a lot of play, and what was important for my mother also was for me to have play. And this is my mother, a picture of mother, boom. And fashion was a big part of my parents. You see both of them there. My mum in 1960 is a picture of my father as well. Both of my parents, fashion design was important, because when they grew up, would not hardly any clothes. So if you understand, my dad grew up with 2 sets of clothes. Do you know what I'm saying? Till very late on in his life. So it's important. Fashion became a statement for them, and that's how I view it. Fashion for myself. People think I view fashion as an egotistical thing. I don't. I've never done that. Doing my hair, never. Because of what happened, I came from the understanding my parents had 2 sets of clothes, and what happened, the clothes that my parents looked at were clothes that were going to last for a long time. So you look out for quality. Now, one of the key things was vintage clothes represented something. It actually represented that you're an independent thinker. And remember, before 1950, everybody tailored their own clothes. There was nothing off-the-rack clothes. So it was important for everybody, for their individualism, to show that, even though they were part of a collective. And why was that important to West Indians? Because they'd gone through slavery to colonialization, and both of them had taken away their self self-image and self-identity. Do you understand? People were under duress to a certain type of clothes they couldn't get. They couldn't get, you know, you have to look at what slavery had done in the Caribbean. After slavery, the challenges that people had. People didn't have money. Do you understand? It's important for people to understand. Anyway, Bluuk Jazz Dance is giving you insight into, guess what? What UK Jazz Dance brought for me, freestyle dancing in general. I've been freestyle dancing from 1964 to present, people, and I'm still dancing. Now, one of the beautiful things that happened to me as an individual was I discovered at the age of 41 I was dyslexic, which was important because that brought about a new engagement in the arts for me as a dancer. I knew the area I wanted to work in, which was live improvisational art. At that time, when I came back in at the age of 41, this area was more accepted and recognised. When I was in the early days of 1986, it was not recognised, and my art form wasn't recognised. It wasn't even called an art form, it wasn't identified a culture. And that was done because the white privileged DJs identified it as sensory and not worthy of significant research. Since 1986 and 2005, from 2005 I again went into university. I went into university to do arts management, administration and business management, to create a business around using dance. Yeah, and amazingly what happened was, one of the key areas was using dance for stress management, basically holistic health. But one of the key areas was stress management, because stress had gone out the roof and people didn't understand that youth, young babies, children, in the womb, the child feels stress. And what happened, what had been over many years, people had developed stress, and it developed a chronic emotional stress, causing long-term damage because they had not been given an education on stress management. All our children need to get an education in stress management, and they need to learn the healthy lifestyle tools to reduce it, and we were from very young. So dance reduces it. Our parents introduced us to dance, introduced us to music making, introduced us to quite a wide range of cultural creative activities, boom, within our own homes or within our culture and wider cultures. And how I came to come back to the stage, or how I developed myself, my world of understanding was through the arts, because the arts creativity has a way to develop your cognition, and many people didn't know that. I did, because I did research. So I knew my leadership skills, my management skills, my administration skills, how I see the world as a cultural creative leader came from my involvement in the arts and sports, and eventually becoming a professional dancer. But most importantly, because I had other interests already that I put into my dance world. So people didn't know I wanted to be a barrister and cricketer. Seriously, that was what I was working on. I wanted to be an actor and lawyer. Do you know what I'm saying? I had icons that I studied and tried to emulate. So one was Sir Constantine Leary, was a barrister and lawyer. The other one, the actor, entertainer, bomb and lawyer, was Paul Robeson. Do you know what I'm saying? So I had information on them, and other individuals, I had information on them. Individuals within the Caribbean community, West Indian community, we had books called Great West Indians. So people could draw upon icons that they could emulate. At no time did I ever want to be a dancer professionally as the full-out career. Never. That came later because of recession. That came because I failed in exams. And the only choice I had at the end of the day was to be a dancer, because I looked up what gifts did I have, and it was in dance. But the irony of that situation, I was always into research, constant research into dance and sports. So my area that I went into, I started to look at sports science, dance science, and I started to look at psychology, physiology, philosophy. So, and not only in dance, dance is the art. Dance is the mother of all arts, so I started to look at music psychology, art psychology, philosophy, etc., etc. Do you get that? So anything to do with dance, I looked into the psychology of it, the philosophy, the psychology of it, and the philosophy, and why the etymology. I looked at dancing. For dance, you have to be great. In my art form, you have to be great at music. And you can do that through, first of all, playing instruments, listening to records. Because remember, musicianship is around 80% listening. It's important that people understand that, to get the interpretation. Do you understand? So anyway, Bluuk Jazz, that's giving you insight into how my art form taught me to care for myself and care for others, gave me understanding of how to take consideration for myself and consideration for others I'm working with, develop my creativity, develop my cultural awareness, develop my communal spirit, to develop my collaborative working. Basically, creative commercial industries, a wide range of things it taught me, and I'm just here to share that with individuals.